My background is actually in psychology. So I have my bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in communication. So I went to the College of St. Benedict up in northern Minnesota, and was there for 4 years working on my bachelor's. And then from there, I went on to Ball State University for my master's degree, and that's in Muncie, Indiana. And I spent 2 years at Ball State working on my master's in sport and exercise psychology. And so while I was there, I was also working as a graduate assistant and I taught a couple like activity classes, like walking classes, and then was also a research assistant for the department, helping faculty conduct their research. And then, so I was 2 years at Ball State, and then I went on to get my PhD at the University of Iowa, where I was working on my PhD there in the Department of Health and Human Physiology. My emphasis was psychology of sport and physical activity. And so that took me 5 years to work on my PhD. And while I was there, I was starting to work on my credential to become a sports psych consultant. Okay, so within the world of sports psych consulting, or as a sports psych consultant, there are traditionally 3 roles that we could potentially hold, and that would be teaching, research, and consulting. I personally do all 3. Obviously, as a professor, I focus primarily on the teaching aspect of it. I consult with individual athletes that are looking to improve their athletic performance from a mental aspect of it, right? I primarily am working with healthy athletes who are looking to up their game in some aspect related to their a variety of different psychological factors. So if it is goal setting, if it is self-confidence issues, like minor anxiety issues and so forth there. But it's primarily focused on working with our healthy athletes to help them reach their optimal and peak performance within the sport setting. Yes, both. I'll start with the pros. So it's fun. I mean, working with athletes is, I love fitness and I love sports, and so it's a great environment to be in. So that is probably the biggest pro, is just being around something that I'm passionate about and have an interest in it, of myself. And you get to work with a wide range of individuals too. So I've got clients that are 12 years old, and I've got ones that are in their mid-30s. So, some of the cons are it's a lot of work. It's not my job in terms of my first and foremost job is here as a professor. So a lot of the private consulting that I do like early in the mornings, like 5 o'clock in the morning, or on the weekends. And so, especially if you're doing it remotely, you're consulting remotely and you've got clients, say, on the East Coast, or they're traveling all the time. I mean, you're on their schedule, right? And like the time that they have available, they don't have much time available because they're practicing, they're traveling and so forth. So you have to kind of fit into their schedule. So, the time is an issue. And then of course the other con would probably be like athlete buy-in and coach buy-in, right? It's like, when they hear the word psychology, there's still that stigma that's attached to it, especially for athletes, right? It's the no pain, no gain mentality, or act tough. So you have to kind of like educate them about what your role here is as, and that's not to psychoanalyze you, and it's not to clinically diagnose you with something. It's, what can I do to help you reach your optimal performance, your peak performance on the field, on the ice, whatever the case may be. Definitely. I would say psychology. But had I known as an undergraduate, I would have gotten my master's and my PhD in psychology rather than taking the kinesiology aspect of it, because what we're seeing within the field in terms of working as like a full-time sports psychology consultant or a sports psychologist is you have to have your PhD in psychology. My suggestion would be to do the flip of what I did and major like in psychology and then into your master's, and also if you want to do your PhD and supplement it with the kinesiology and the exercise science types of things, but focus primarily on getting your certifications within psychology and APA. So if you're interested in doing like sports like consulting, right, is that you have to take so many classes in a variety of different disciplines, okay? And some of those classes within kinesiology are things like motor behavior, are things like biomechanics, injury prevention, and so forth there. So my suggestion would be, if possible, to minor in kinesiology or exercise science if you're able to. I would say first and foremost would be the research, because regardless of whether you go on for your master's or your PhD, is you're going to be doing a lot of research, right? Like and I know, like, you know, oftentimes on campus as undergrad, you do your capstone, okay? And many choose to do a research project as capstone. Well, you better believe that that's going to be asked of you for your master's thesis, and then of course your dissertation is a research focus. But research first and foremost, and then any clubs that relate, right? And you know, if it is I would say psychology club, and taking a leadership position within that club. Okay? It does not need to be a PhD. You do, but master's is kind of the minimum, right? So you can be a practicing sports psych consultant with your master's degree, okay? What you need to do is go to our credentialing body, right? Like for many psychology folks, it's APA. Ours is ASP, which is Association for Applied Sports Psychology. And they have all of the requirements of what it means that you have to do at a master's level, okay, all the classes that you have to take, the number of hours of mentored, work that you do within the field of sports psychology, that's set for a master's level person, right, in terms of a sports psych consultant. But then, of course, if you really want to make it into the professional levels or organizations, then probably have, the PhD, and then also have your sports psych certification via ASP. Yeah, but master's level is kind of the minimum there. Okay. And just quickly on that, like if folks are interested in coaching, that would be something else. I mean, we're seeing now that most universities are requiring coaches to have their masters. I mean, even now, like even into the high school, we're kind of requiring that. Same thing with like strength and conditioning coaches looking for masters. And so to me, like, it would be great if a lot of coaches decided to pursue their masters in sports psychology, because then that's kind of a dual role that they're able to obviously deal on the physical preparedness, but also mental preparedness too.
Definitely.
Yeah.